Okay, well, that'll be a little bit better. I've muted myself. Just wanted to welcome everybody. I know. Thank you so much for joining us on your Sunday night. I know people are busy. We've had doubleheader baseball games and all kinds of stuff going on here in Dallas. So thank you very much for taking time out on your very busy Sunday afternoon and spending it this evening with us and our new victim. If you would, please make sure you have your pen and a pad handy and your list of 10 names and your calendar open. We want to make sure you work right along with us. It's okay if you can't write enough fast enough, that's fine. Don't worry. We're going to make sure the call is recorded and we will post it on our EC Riders Facebook page, so you don't have to worry about that. We truly believe that this is the silver bullet in your business. We want to make sure that you know exactly what you're going to do every day. When you get up in the morning, you know what you're going to do. You're ready and you're set to take 20 or 30 minutes out of your day, and you know what you're going to do for your Ambit business, so you can be persistent and consistent and make sure you're doing something every day to get you closer to your goals. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on our host. If you're not familiar with this gentleman, he is an executive consultant in our business. He's what you would call financially free. He doesn't have to worry. On 15th of the month, he has a check that covers all of his bills, which is something we would all like to have, or we all aspire to. He's been on a 5-star. He's earned his way onto a 5-star trip. He's been on the cover of Success from Home magazine. He's had several traditional businesses as well that he had great success at, and he's also a musician by trade. So if you would, please help me welcome Mr. Richard Laidler. Richard, are you there?
Yes, indeed. Can you hear me okay?
I can. You didn't mute yourself like I did?
You know what? I'm always bragging about you being the technical, the technical side of our duo, and you kind of blew it a little bit tonight. Oh my God, that was so funny. I knew exactly what had happened because for everybody who's on the call, Michelle and I were kind of having a few technical problems before the call started. We couldn't basically get into the call as a host, and so obviously Michelle didn't actually get in as a host. So when she muted everybody, and she wasn't a host, so she disappeared. So that was what was quite kind of amusing. So, but anyway. Hey, we'll make up for it. We'll make up for it with good, solid information. And for everything else, for that slight mishap Michelle made, she did make absolute sense prior to that. This is one of the most highly attended calls in Ambit, which we're very, very proud of. And there's a reason for it. And it's exactly what Michelle was talking about. So all of the calls that are out there, and I'm very, very proud of all of the calls that are being run by all of the other leaders out there. The SCs, the ECs, and the NCs doing great calls, bringing on guests and people talking about their stories and how they built the business and this type of thing. But this call is a little bit different. It's actually very much like Michelle was talking about. It's about we all know the Ambit system. We all learn the Ambit system. We talk about the written list, and then from the written list we invite people to have a look at the business. We do the presentation. And then we get a 3-way call in to answer any questions, and then there'll be a decision. It's a yes, no, or a maybe. And then that decision is obviously, or that maybe is brought to a yes or no as quickly as possible. And that's basically the Ambit system, which is all very well and good. And everybody who's in Ambit, hopefully if they've got a good sponsor or they're at least plugged into the system, will learn this system. But the problem is, that unless it's applied properly or even applied at all, it's not going to be any good to you. And so, network marketing as an industry, which is a great industry, has enormous failure rates. And I say failure, you can't really fail in a network marketing business. You just quit. And usually, you won't find a more simple businesses out there than network marketing, and especially Ambit, because Ambit is we're obviously referring a service that people already use. We're just saving the money on something they already use. So it's very simple what we're doing. We're not, chasing any bills. We're not chasing any money. We're not, having to turn the electricity on ourselves. Ambit does all of that. All we do is say, hey, do you want to borrow some? Sorry, what am I talking about? Do you want to save some money on your electricity bill? And they either will or they won't, and that's what we do. And then we find a few other folks who know other people who want to save money on electricity bill. It's very, very simple. And the system's very, very simple, but why is the attrition rate? There's no definite figure in Ambit, but I would hazard a guess that it's about 85%. 85% of people who start an Ambit business will, and I'm doing quote marks with my fingers here, will fail. They don't actually fail. They just stop doing the business, and it's a real shame. And the point is that every one of those, I would say 97% of those 85% of people who quit graduated high school or can hold down a job. So why can they graduate high school, which is a 10-year chore, from 9 to 3 every day, physics, maths, chemistry, it gets harder and harder every year. And yet, 97% of people, and that's a figure I'm just picking out the air, that's nothing official, but will graduate, and yet 85% of people will fail in an Ambit business. And it's what we've narrowed down on this call, and this is what Michelle was talking about, is just you have to show up to work. And that's the reason why people fail in Ambit. They get started. They kind of don't have any accountability. They don't have anybody over their shoulder like the principal at school or like your boss at work. And so they don't show up to work. They don't get any results. And so they quit. And they'll blame whatever. Some of them will be man enough to blame themselves and say, well, I just didn't show up, so it didn't work. But most will not do that. They'll say, oh, these things don't work. Or, whatever. They'll find some kind of reason as to why it wasn't working. But fundamentally, at the absolute core is the fact that if you just show up and you ask a few people who want to save money on an electricity bill, you will have success. You'll get that first check. You hear in all the trainings how important it is to get that first check. And that's basically by helping 2 people in Texas save money on their electricity bill. And for those who are outside Texas, up in the Northeast, over in California and up in Chicago, you need 3 customers. You're helping 3 people to save money on a bill they're already paying. I mean, really think about that. Compare that to any other business. And, even if you're buying makeup, someone's got to convince you that you should buy this makeup rather than this makeup. I'm talking about retail, normal retail, not Mary Kay or not the Rodana Fields or a makeup company, or I don't know actually. But they have to kind of pitch as to why you should do this and why you should do this. And in some cases, and in most cases, they're increasing your budget. What we're doing is looking at a bill they already pay. They're already paying it, and we're just saving them some money. So it's very, very simple, and yet 85% of people quit. And again, what we've narrowed down on this call is the fact that people are not showing up to work. And when they show up to work, doing the few simple things that we need to do. And this call is designed to help you show up to work. It's designed to show you tomorrow morning, Monday morning, what you need to be doing. So tomorrow morning, after this call, what I hope you all have, who are all listening in, is a piece of paper with 10 names on it and 10 invitations next to it, so you know what your week looks like. Now, hopefully you'll do 2 calls a day and call into an accountability partner or your upline or crossline or whatever to see how they all went. So 2 calls on Monday, 2 calls on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, et cetera, et cetera. You do 10 calls like that. And the averages that are on the Purge call, I've got 2 years of Purge calls. The average, or not actually the average, the worst person on the Purge call has got 5 appointments from those 10 invites. That's the worst person. The best has got like 12 or 13, and obviously that's more than 10. It's because they did more than 10 calls. It's not. That's the minimum we need to do. And if you have 5 opportunities to show the business, then you'll have 10 in 2 weeks. And on average, if you do the Ambit system right, i.e. especially with that third party, the 3-way call, if you do that, on average, you will get 1 consultant join your business every 10 opportunities you have to show it. So every 2 weeks, you'll get a new consultant, which means that every 6 weeks, you'll have 3 consultants. And again, I refer to the roadmap, for want of a better word. In fact, that's the best word that Chris Chambliss put into the business presentation, of 3 getting 3, getting 3, getting 3, and each with 2 customers each, again, from Texas perspective, but 3 for those of you in other states. If you do that on the 7th level, you are making 11,000 and change But more importantly than that, if you do your 10 presentations, you'll get one, as I say, one from that every 2 weeks. Every 6 weeks, you'll get your 3. If you do that, if you then teach those 3 you got in to do the same thing, so they'll do 10 invites, get 5 opportunities to show the plan. So that means that every 2 weeks, they'll bring someone into their business. So in 6 weeks, your 3 will have got their 3. So it's a total of 12 weeks. So 6 weeks for you, 6 weeks for your next level. You've now got 12 people in your business, 3 of your own and 3 for each of your 3. If you then teach them the same and then them the same, everybody's just doing 3, getting a couple of customers. Then basically the way the math works out is that somewhere between 18 months and 2 years, 2 years is if things are not going right, but between 18 months and 2 years, you will be an EC in the Ambit business, executive consultant. And 18 months, I believe, is if you get to EC from SC in 18 months, that's fast-tracking it. And all we're doing is just making sure we show up to work on Monday morning with our 10 names, doing 2 calls a day, and helping people save money on a bill they're already paying. Tell me something that's easier than that. Tell me something that is easier than that. The problem is, the point is, this business is really, really simple to do right. It's also really, really simple to do wrong. But the simplest of all is to not do at all. If you don't have someone watching over your shoulder, which is why we really promote an accountability partner, it's kind of glossed over in other trainings, but in our training, I am imploring you all to get yourself an accountability partner so that they just make sure that you do the 2 calls a day. 2 calls a day, 5 days a week. Take the weekends off. Take the weekends off. So when you hear Miriam Wado, Brian McClure, and all the other leaders talking about consistent effort over time, and in fact, Michelle mentioned that at the beginning of the call, what that means is 30 to 60 minutes a day, which is 2 calls a day, 5 days a week, 1 business presentation locally, and maybe a couple of team calls. That's all we're talking about for something that's going to set you financially free. Is your job going to do that? No. Even if you've got a fantastic job, even if you went to school and went to college and for 7 years became a doctor, you're not financially free. You know, they earn big money, but they have to trade their time for the money. This is something that you can learn. Do 30 to 60 minutes a day, 2 calls a day, 1 accountability call a day, 1 business presentation, and a couple of calls, and that'll set you financially free. I'm lucky. I'm very, very fortunate enough to be financially free from the Ambit business. I'm not financially rich. I'm not driving around in a Ferrari, but every day I wake up not having to work if I don't want to. And I don't say that to brag in any way, because I've made more money in the past with the traditional business, but I've never been so happy in my life as I am now. I mean, I'm being a bit vulnerable for you here, but I really genuinely am. I mean, there's a friend of mine who's got an opportunity to go to the Virgin Islands to take care of a house while she's out there, and she said, "Hey, why don't you come out here and you can run your Ambit business and a couple of other things from there as well?" And I'm thinking, yeah, I may do that. Now, I don't know if I'm going to, because I've also got to go over to the UK to see my mum and this type of thing, but I can consider it. That's the point. Those who are in a job, the doctor who's making $300,000, $400,000, $700,000 a year, whatever it is, probably can't make that same consideration to do something just off the cuff. But I've got the problem is that I've got that opportunity. I've got to go and see my mum in England. Some of you know I have a cabin in Alaska. I've got to get out there in July as well. And I'm just about to go and buy a little house, nothing grand, in the Philippines. So I've got 4 or 5 trips I've got to make. And at no point do I ever have to make part of that decision, have I got time to do it? And that's what I'm talking about on the call. That's what I'm talking about. That's why you have an absolute diamond in your hand with Ambit. All you have to do is show up to work. And when you show up to work, do 30 to 60 minutes a day. Hopefully I'm making sense to you because I'm very passionate about that. But that being said, we're going to get straight on with the call so that we can bring some people, bring our new guests on. These people are very very established in the business. They're senior consultants, well on their way to executive consultants. And we're going to go through this as if they were brand new, because it's great for them to be vulnerable and just to double check that they're still doing everything right, which I'm sure that they are. But also it'll help them and those others of you who are out there who are SCs, how not only to be accountable to someone else, to your upline, but also to be the upline who's on the receiving end of an accountability person. So there's a kind of a double-sided, this is kind of a double-sided sword, as it were, on this call. We teach people, we teach that you need to be accountable to someone, but also you need to be the accountability on the higher end down to someone to help them with their business, and we do that on this call. So with that being said, I would like to bring on senior consultants Dave and LYNN NUTT. Are you there, my lovely chaps?
Hello, Richard. We sure are.
Hi, Richard.
Hello, Lynn. Hi, Dave. How are you?
Good. Very good.
Fantastic. Was any of my ranting, my soapbox ranting, making any sense to you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, as seniors in the business, you guys, I mean, I obviously have the ultimate respect for you and your business, and of course, I love your upline who are now in California now, who now have a couple of other businesses as well, but they're very good friends of mine as well, and I've watched you guys for a long, long time. But, you see, this wonderful business you have in your hands, but how many people have slipped through your fingers, and I'm saying for me as well, who this business would have been an absolute savior for?
A lot. Quite a few.
Yeah, it's a shame when again, I kind of trying to paint it as simple as I can, that all we need to do is to just do the simple things that we need to do 30 to 60 minutes a day, and we're going to go through the actual daily method of our operation while you guys and I are working together. But it's a wonderful opportunity for everybody. But anyway, let's dive into this call. And here's what I want. Everybody on the call, can you do this with me, please? I always say, hey, don't be passive. Just, can you do, every one of you on this call, and I'm going to check, all right, with some of you. I'm going to spot check some of you. Even though some of you are going to sit here and you don't have your list ready or whatever, woe betide you, naughty, no one's too old for a smack bottom, for all of you who don't have your written list in front of you. But do this one thing for me. I want you to pick 2 names. I don't usually do this on the call, but I just want to have you involved in what we're doing, and this is everybody who's on the call. I can see who's on the call, and so just pick 2 names of people that you're going to contact this week. And during this call or during the accountability calls, you'll probably find an invite that's going to be relevant to those 2 people on your list. Okay, I'm not asking you to do 10. You're going to do that in your own time, because we do need to have 10 and 2 calls a day. But just pick 2 names so that it keeps you proactive with this call, because it's very important that you kind of take on board what we're doing. So think of the people you're going to talk to, whether they're people you've shown the business to a long time ago, or whether they're some new people or someone on your chicken list or whatever. Consciously write them down. Please do it. Pick up your pen. I'm watching every single one of you. I've got cameras in every single one of your houses, and I'm watching you. So pick up your pens and write 2 names of people you want to show the business to. And when we go to an invite that's relevant for 1 or 2 of those people, write it down and have it ready with you. So, and I'm thinking about introducing just little things like that to this call, and maybe bringing people in and unmuting them and talking to them about their particular call as well, but not for tonight. Just tonight, just do it. I'm trusting you to do it yourselves and work alongside Lynn and Dave with us. And when an invite that we do is relevant to you, then write it down for your guys. So that being said, I don't know who wants to go first here, Lynn and Dave, but I need one of you just to, if you wouldn't mind, just so we know who we're talking to. Just tell us a little bit about, you and the business and who you are before the business and kind of why you got into the business, if you wouldn't mind, please.
Sure. I saw this before David did, in the sense that I knew it was the thing we had been looking for. I have some medical issues that keep me from working full-time. My husband is with a company that he would love to step away from. Let's just leave it at that. we not only support ourselves, but we support 2 other families, and our retirement income completely disappeared almost overnight. So we see this as the thing that will allow David to step away from his job and will allow him to retire.
Yeah, that's great, and that's very interesting because we're a similar age, and we got some young people on the call as well. I can see some names actually I don't know, but I'm sure we've got some people in their 20s and 30s on the call, as well as folks like us that are a little older than that. I'm in my 50s, but I certainly wouldn't be so assumptive as to mention your ages on this call, especially you, Lynn, because I'm a gentleman. I never mention a lady's age. But we've got retirement. It's kind of on the horizon. And there are literally tens of thousands, probably more than that, I would say hundreds of thousands of people who are around our age who either have not got enough retirement put together, or they've lost it, or they're hoping that they're going to keep that management job that they have and they've been let go or fired or whatever, who are in serious trouble. And, when 60, 65, or, maybe a forced retirement earlier than that comes along, if you don't have something like an Ambit business, we're in real trouble. So I completely relate to what you're talking about. But so thank you for sharing that with us, and we can obviously, use that as the why for as we're doing our invites. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What we do on this call is basically we start with a written list. On this call, what we do is we also grade that written list. We give it some kind of scoring system, so the good people get to the top of the list. Everyone's going to get a call, but the good people get to the top of the list, and we do that using something called an Erica system, which you can learn about by going to the EC Riders Facebook page. And there's if you listen to one of the, you'll find it in the newsfeed on there. You'll see where we talk about the Erica system on there. But we're basically scoring them using the acronym Erica. E for entrepreneurial, R for how resourceful are they, I for are they very influential, C for city, are they local or not, and A for attitude. And we score them from 1 to 3. So the top score can be 15, and then anywhere beneath that. And obviously the top scores go to the top. So we've got a written list, we've scored it. Then we're going to take the top 10 names. We're not going to pick and choose 10 names of people who are going to be nice to us when we invite them. We are just going to, without bias, pick the top 10 names. And the great thing about that is very often those chicken list names will get to the top pretty darn quick because they're a chicken list, because they're good people and we're scared of them telling us no. So they tend to, or what they'll think of us. So this is a great way of doing that. And then once we've done that, we're going to prepare invites, which we're going to do on the call today. And then Dave and Lynn are going to do a couple of calls, just as I was talking earlier on, 2 on Monday, 2 on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday, a minimum. If you want to do more, guys, you can definitely do that. But on Monday morning, the plan is what we're going to do, and for those of you who are listening in, even with your 2 calls and your 2 names that you've got there, and don't think I'm not going to check up on you. I'm going to randomly check up on you guys. That on Monday you are going to have your list of 10 names, 10 invites ready. And let me tell you, that's a great feeling. When you're driving into work and there it is next to you, the list of 10 names and the 10 invites written down right there. Just as when you have your job, you know what your job is. When you had school, you knew Monday at 9 was math. Monday at 10 was English. Monday, then you had lunchtime, whatever. You knew what it was, and that's what this list of 10 names with written invites down, that's what it represents. It makes sure that we don't start our week with I really should do something with my Ambit business and rely on finding spare time that none of us have to do something. I promise you, and I put it in the Facebook post, I guarantee many of you in this call will go through a whole week and not do anything with your Ambit business. But if you put something in place like this, then you can't help but do something with your Ambit business. So with that being said, my first question to both of you is, first of all, do you have a written list?
Yes.
Yes, we do. We both do. We
Good.
both have our own list, and
Good.
then we have shared names.
Fantastic. Correct answer. Well done. And next question, have you scored them using the Erica system?
Yes.
Fantastic. And so we've got 10 names that have risen to the top. And what I'm going to ask you guys for now is if you can give me the first names of those top 10, and then we'll start putting some invites together. And if anybody who's listening in has any questions, text me on 214-766-4613. Again, 214-766-4613, and I'll try to get to them during the call. And I've got someone saying to me that it's very staticky. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, give me a call. Call me if you need to. Text me if you need to ask me questions as we're going through this. So, who are the 10 names that we've got, please, chaps?
You ready for me? Do you want me to read all? You want me to read all 10?
Yeah, just go all 10. That's fine, Dave.
There's Jermaine, Gary, Galen, Dane.
A little slow. I've got to write these down. Jermaine.
Jermaine.
Uh-huh.
Gary.
Gary, is that?
Yes, Gary.
Gary, yep. Mm-hmm.
Gayland.
Gayland, yep.
Dane, Dayne.
Mm-hmm.
Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
Rusty.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
Mauricio, Mauricio.
Okay.
Jensen, Jensen. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually Jensen's dad. And then Hong, Hung.
Sorry, Hund?
G as in George.
Oh, okay. Got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, great. Let's go straight away with Jermaine. Tell me a little bit about Jermaine. How old is he? I'm assuming that's a guy. How old? Married, kids, whatever.
Married, 2 sons. One's in Boy Scouts, one's in Cub Scouts. He's one of my scout leaders. A lawyer, very educated. Very knowledgeable, very, very smooth. He has his own practice, so he's entrepreneurial. Very giving, very open to talking with people, and he when he jumps in, he jumps in. There's no putting the toe in. He gets after it.
Yeah, so I can see why he got a good attitude. I'm sure he got a 3 on the attitude score, right?
Right. Actually,
okay. Do you know of any?
One,
go ahead. I'm sorry, Dave.
I scored him 1 under 14.
Okay. So where did you score him down on? Which was the one you scored him 2 and rather than 3?
Resources. I'm not quite sure. I think he does, but
okay.
I'm not sure.
And when we talk about resourceful, what we're talking about there is are we the type of person who will just be a victim in life and go, well, it was not my fault, it's the government, it's my parents, it was this, it was that, or are you resourceful and find a solution? So that's kind of what that kind of means. So we'll say, but I'll go with your story.
We'll give him a 3.
No problems. Okay.
We'll give him a 3. Give him a 3.
Okay. Are you aware of any pain that he has, like time, or because he's obviously got 2 kids coming up to college age, right?
Right. Well, one of his challenges is giving money away so he doesn't have to pay taxes on it.
Oh, so he's looking for expenses.
Something like that, or charities, yes.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
All right. I'm just writing notes down as we talk. So do you have any kind of – you are regulars on this call. You're on the call every week. And if that is an indication, by the way, for those of you who are listening in who don't have your team on this call, is, as I say, Dave and LYNN NUTT are very strong seniors in this business, and they're on the call every single Sunday. So, guys, you should definitely learn from this exemplary couple. But do you have any thoughts on how you would like to approach this, bearing in mind you've got some experience of this call?
Since he is a owner of his own business, he has his own practice. I was thinking the approach would be for his opinion. He's successful. He's doing very well. I'm approaching retirement. I would really appreciate his thoughts.
Yeah, and even as an attorney, he's trading time for money by definition. These guys are $300, $500 an hour, but there it is, right there, $300 for an hour. He may be looking for something where he's not having to trade his time. So he has money, and I would agree with you. I would very much be going for an opinion, and then during the presentation, if there is an opportunity to say, you know what, Jermaine, I'm not sure, but bearing in mind what you're saying about maybe having a little bit more time, or maybe giving some money to charity. This may be something that would work for you, but that's in the presentation, not in the invite.
Right.
Because again, the purpose of the invite is to give someone the opportunity to look at the business and see if it makes sense for them. So there we have six little guidelines for each of the invites. And the first one is to be in a hurry. The second one is to talk about your why, which we've already discussed, and we'll go this in a little bit more detail. 3 is a hook. So, I've started a new business project I'm really excited about, and and it's called a hook because this is what's going to hook them. So you do need to be excited. 4th is the purpose of the call, and in our case, we're going to be, I want you to know what I'm doing. So the fourth part of the invite is 2 parts. The first part is always, Jermaine, I just want you to know what Lynn and I are doing. This is if you're inviting him, Dave, like what Lynn and I are doing, so that you're very well networked. You can refer us to other folks. But then the second part of number 4 is either to say, and I'd really appreciate your opinion, which is what we're going to do with Jermaine, or to say this may be something that would work for you to help you get your kids' college fund paid for, that type of thing. But we're going for the opinion. And then number 5 is the takeaway. The takeaway is very valuable. Number 1, the being in a hurry, and number 5, the takeaway they're your best friends. They're your best friends in an invite. The hurry stops you getting dragged into a presentation on the call. So, if I'm inviting you, Dave, and, being inquisitive as you are, saying, okay, Rich, what do you got? I need to be able to get out of that without saying, well, I don't want to tell you, because it's really kind of awkward. And I hear that all the time. I'm just like, oh, my gosh, it must have been so painful. Whereas but if I said, hey, Dave, listen, I've literally got to get onto a call right, within the next minute or so, and that's why I wanted to set up some time for you. So we can get together for coffee, then that's a very nice way of saying, no, I'm not going to tell you what I've got right now, but I am going to give you the respect of some enough time to show you what I'm doing. So that's what the hurry is for. And then the takeaway is to keep the person on the other end of the call. Hey, Dave, this may or may not be your cup of tea, and that's perfectly fine. Now, we're probably not going to use the takeaway with the opinion, and we'll cover that in a second, but it makes the other person feel at ease. But also, if someone says no to the business or says, no, it's not for me right now, you can say, well, remember when we invited, I said it's not for everyone, so it's perfectly fine. So, again, it kind of helps you get the power back. So that's number 5. Then number 6 is a very, very intentional setting of the time that you're going to meet. So, for example, with Jermaine, I may say, bearing in mind a little bit about your why, and you'll be able to fine-tune this. With Jermaine, I'd say, hey, Jermaine, this is Dave here. And, again, I'm assuming, Lynn, that Dave's making this call, for example.
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool. Hey, Jermaine, this is Dave here. I'm a little bit of a hurry. I've got to get right onto a conference call when I'm done with you, but I've been meaning to give you a call this week. Do you have a couple of minutes? And he'll hopefully say yes. Say, well, listen, you obviously, if he's in your scout group, he knows you and Lynn very well, right?
Yeah, he knows me very well, yes. Right.
So you can say, hey, Jermaine, you know that that Lynn and I are, obviously very close to retirement, and I don't know how much you want to go into the fact that you have, you lost your retirement. Say, but or you could say, we're coming up to retirement. We don't have, everything set up for retirement as we would like, and so we've started a new business project that is not only going to get us back on track for our retirement, but actually give us a lot more than we would ever need. And so that's your being in a hurry. That's your stating your why, and then start a new business project that I'm really excited about because it's going to get us, up to date with our retirement, but also over and above that. So excited about that. And then number 4, this is so the reason why I'm calling, Jermaine, is I want you to know what I'm doing. You're very well networked. You've got a very high level of clientele as well as friends and this type of thing. I'd just love you to know what we're doing so that you can refer us, should you appreciate what we're doing. But secondly, you've obviously been very, very successful in your business. I'd really appreciate your opinion and maybe some pointers as to how we can best build this business as quickly as possible, bearing in mind, we're so close to retirement age. So I'd really appreciate your opinion. Now, I'm asking for an opinion, so it would not be appropriate for me to use number 5 here. It may or may not be your cup of tea because we're not inviting him to join the business in the invite. We're going to do that in the presentation when we ask you for an opinion. So I would go straight from, really appreciate your opinions, maybe some pointers. I'd love to buy you a cup of coffee after work on Friday. Like there's a Starbucks just around the corner. Or a hotel lobby. I prefer hotel lobbies than Starbucks, by the way. They tend to be a lot quieter. You can still get a cup of coffee. Starbucks can be very distracting, especially for us men when a pretty girl walks in, or for you girls when a handsome man walks in. We want to make sure that people keep attention and stuff. So I really like hotel lobbies. But I would go straight from number 4 to number 6 because we're asking for an opinion. I'd love to buy you a cup of coffee, show you what I'm doing, so that as I say, so you hopefully be able to, so you know what we're doing, so you'll be able to refer us. And again, if you're able to give us any pointers, that'd be wonderful. And so that's what I would do.
Awesome. Thank you.
So in a hurry, then the why, then the hook, then the purpose, which is split between want you to know what I'm doing and an opinion. We miss out number 5 because we're not asking him to join the business yet. Until until the presentation. And then number 6 is a very intentional. So let's get together for coffee on Friday. And if Friday's too busy, let's make it go for a morning coffee on Saturday. I don't know which is going to be best for you. Sometimes an alternative close like that is a better way of doing it. Make sense?
Yes, very much.
Fantastic. So. All right. So the first invite we do always takes a little longer because I have to kind of break down the 6 deals. But let's we can go through a little quicker now with Gary. Lynn, I haven't heard enough of your voice, my lovely. So when you tell me about who you're going to be inviting?
I will. Well, there are 2 names that I wasn't going to put on the list, and that told me I needed to put them on the list.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, exactly. Karina, Carina.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is Chaka, Chaka. Those are number 1.
Like Chaka Khan? Like Chaka Khan? We're old enough to remember Chaka Khan. Let me rock you, Chaka Khan.
Yes.
All those of you under 35 or 40 won't know what I'm talking about. But us older folks will know. Anyway, carry on. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's number 1 and number 2. Number 3 is Deborah, spelled Deborah.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4 is Sam. Number 5 is Ishmael. It's spelled Ishmael.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6 is Barbara. Number 7 is Serinda, spelled Sherrinda. Number 8, Brannigan, spelled Brannigan.
Mm-hmm.
Number 9 is Kelly.
You said Kelly?
Yeah, Kelly. And number 10 is Richard.
Number 10 is Richard?
Yeah.
I'm already in the business, lovely. It's a bit late. You should have asked me about 8 years ago.
No.
I'd have been happy to join your team.
Yeah. I would have been in the Comma Club by now.
Yep. You surely would. Okay. All right. So let's talk about Karina. How old is she? And is she married? Does she have kids?
Karina is, I would say, 40.
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen her in a very long time. She and I were in a very intensive leadership program together. She does have, we're Facebook friends, so I know that she has 1 child now and she is married. She is an entrepreneur. She has owned her own restaurants. She started another business in Mexico. she has recently, over the past several years, started a salon. She's a go-getter.
Okay. So, again, bearing in mind you've been on the Purge call as many times as you have, then how would you approach this one?
Again, the opinion. My concern is that it has been probably 7 years since I've actually spoken with her.
Okay. Here's what I would do, and I know some of you, if you were in the classroom, you'd be putting your hands up going, well, I know the answer. What I would do, Lynn, is I would be patient, and I would maybe make this a 2-stage process. This is up to you, and this is just my opinion, but I would invite her to get together first and not in any way ambush her, and certainly not in any way be disingenuous in the invite. But I would say, I would give her a call and just invite, for you girls to get together for a cup of coffee or go for lunch and just catch up. Because I think it's now Adam Carey, who obviously we all know, he used to have a great invite where he would get round the gap. He'd say, look, I know we haven't spoken for a long time, and that's my fault, so he took responsibility for it, but there's something I want to talk to you about. I always felt uncomfortable with that. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just not the way I would do it. I believe that, we're looking for 3 really, really good people in our business, and I certainly wouldn't rush bringing in someone to my board of directors for another company, so why would I rush this when this is a company that's actually out-earning most of my other companies? So I would turn this into a 2-prong attack. I would basically ask her out for lunch to begin with, just to get together and catch up. And I would be, lots and lots of questions, finding what's going on. And you're going to hear about the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. And so then the invite, rather than opinion, you might be able to be a little bit more direct, because the opinion is okay, but it's my least favorite invite. It does a great job, and it gets the person to look at the business, but I prefer a little bit more of a direct invite because it's a little bit more, to the point. And if during your lunch she says, I've got this business, but it just takes so much of my time, or or there's no passive or residual element to what I'm doing, which is actually I've brought on a number of business owners into my business because they don't think that they need an Ambit business until I talk about, well, how many of the businesses you have right now is a passive residual income? And most business owners I know say none of them. And I'll say, well, as one business owner to another, that's irresponsible. You should have one business that's going to give you passive residual income, but also which of your businesses is also recession-proof. You're in a restaurant. You're in a clothing company. You're in this. You're in that. Most companies are subject to a potential problem if there's a recession. So, again, this is if you're able to have this pre-meeting first, you can find out what type of businesses she's in. If she's in a business that has no element of recession-proofness, for want of a better word, and has no element of passive income, then that's maybe the approach you can give to her. If there's no, if she loves what she's doing, this type of thing, but she might say to you, no, this business takes so much of my time. I never see my child. It's not, my business isn't going so well. God forbid, So, but that's why this first meeting is so important, because then the invite and the presentation can be totally relevant, and the difference between her doing it or not doing it.
Correct.
So I would definitely go for a 2-stage approach, and I would ask her for lunch first, get together with her, and I would not in any way during that meeting try to picture the business. But with that, if you're able to get that lunch done this week, then let's bring her back up again after that lunch, and you can tell me about how the lunch went, and we can put an invite together accordingly. Okay?
Sure. Chaka is very much the same way. The challenge for Chaka is she is in Houston, so meeting her for lunch would be a little more difficult.
Well, again, I don't know if you know, but I'm a little bit of a chatterbox, Lynn. And I've got a lot of friends over in the UK and stuff, and I've actually managed to reconnect with some just recently. I was just chatting to a friend I hadn't seen in 35 years, and we just, I reached out to her on Facebook and said, hey, how are you? She's like, oh, my gosh, yeah, blah, 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 and we chat. I said, and I just basically gave her a call, and we chatted. And we chatted for about 2.5 hours, just for about 2.5 hours, and it was wonderful. But during that chat, I got to find out that she'd lost her husband, and all of these various things that had happened. And again, I'm not saying that I'm sitting there like a vulture ready to pounce on any pain. I'm not saying that. But I've got something that can help some pain that she had. And we were able to talk about it. Obviously, she's in England, so she can't do an Ambit business. Obviously not yet until Ambit gets over there. But I was able to talk to her about something else that I have, something else that I'm doing that may be able to help her out. But it came from an initial conversation over Facebook Messenger. So even if you can't get together for lunch, a phone call, a Skype call, we didn't do a face-to-face. It was literally over the Facebook Messenger. I couldn't see her. We were just chatting. And, I got to find, we got caught up, and it was wonderful, and I'm able to help her with a business that I have. So that's the way I would deal with Chaka.
Yes, sometimes we forget about the old school ways, don't we?
Yes, and we need to not forget that, because it's great. And for those of you who are on the phone who are not chatty like myself, there are certain things you should talk about. Check on family, and what do you do now? What do you just not what do you do for a living necessarily, but what do you do now? People will tell you if they're doing something for a living. And so just ask about family, ask about work, and what else do you do? And this girl happened to have 4 horses, and she travels the world, on her, with a horse business. And it was just really interesting. It was great fun too. And so, but it was because of that call that a second time round I was able to show her the business. I was able to go back to her with a quick call, not on the first call, the second call to say, hey, listen, you remember you told me about such and such and such and such? I've got something that might be able to help you out. Let's put something in the calendar for us to chat again, and I'll show you what I'm doing.
Nice.
So 2-stage approach, that's what I would do with Karina. And again, chuck her if it's relevant for her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, Dave, let's get back to you, and let's have a look at, we're at 8:48 right now, so let's have a look at Gary.
Okay. Now, this is one that I may have messed up. I talked to Gary about a year ago. I worked, let me back up. Gary is probably in his 50s, mid-50s. He is a very successful businessman. I worked with him at a previous company. He ended up going out to California, living in California for a while, became a CIO of a company, wanted to come back to Texas. When I talked to him on the phone, very, very busy, hard to reach. He's back in Texas, but when he was in California a year or so ago when I was talking to him, he said he would take a look, but he wouldn't commit to a time, so I didn't send him the link. And we both got busy. Actually, he got very busy, didn't respond back to me, and I think part of that was he was trying to find a way to get back to Texas. So now that he's back here, I thought I would reach back out to him. Your thoughts?
Is he married with kids or anything?
Yes, he's got 3 children.
How old?
I think 2 are married, and I think his last one is in college at Texas A&M. Careful.
Oh, okay. So he's kind of a little less responsible for them now, though. That's the thing.
Right.
So why do you think you messed it up?
Well, because we never. Well, I don't know if it's a mess up, but we left it open. He wanted me to send him the link, and I was just not willing to do that without having the time we could get back together.
Well, you've been trained very well, and I think I know who trained you very well on that. So that's absolutely the right thing to do. But let's turn that into a positive. Is he back in Texas yet?
Yes, he is back in Texas as of about 6 months ago, I think.
Okay, and would it be appropriate for you to get together to talk about business before an intermediate meeting like we were talking about with LYNN?
Sure. I think we could make that happen.
Okay, cool. In which case, I would give him a call, and I'd say, hey, Gary, it's Dave here. You know, I'm in a little bit of a hurry right now, but I've been meaning to give you a quick call because there's something I need to put right. So I'm putting a little hook in there already, something I need to put right that we didn't solve. How long ago was it? A year ago? 2 years ago? A year ago.
About 2 years ago.
Yeah, I left something open-ended a year ago, and I saw your name, and I thought, oh my gosh, I felt guilty about that, and so I needed to give you a quick call. But I've got to get on another call. We spoke about a year ago about a business that LYNN and I got started back in whatever date it was. It's going really, really very well for us, and we're very excited that it's going to rejuvenate retirement that had depleted on us. And you and I, we talked a year ago for you to have a look and see what we're doing. The reason why I want you to see what I'm doing is basically because you're very well connected and you may be able to help us with some referrals and this type of thing. But secondly, I know you're very, very busy with what you're currently doing. I'd love you to take a look at what we're doing. Do you think this guy's going to be an opinion, by the way, or something you want to look at the business to do it? Do you think he's an opinion?
Yes. Yeah, that's the way I originally approached him. I paid him a couple of compliments, sincere compliments. This guy is just an incredible man. And I told him I really would appreciate his opinion, his thoughts.
Right. And so there you go. So that's exactly what I would do. But I would start the call because there's lots of people on these calls that feel that they've messed it up and lost an opportunity with someone and will lose them off the list. And that's a shame to do that. Nobody appreciates – everybody makes mistakes, and this is not a major mistake, by the way, but some people really, they mess up an invite or whatever. Sometimes it's okay to go back with vulnerability and say, look, if you made an invite and you did it really badly, say, look, we spoke a couple of years ago about a business I got started, and I have to apologize. I kind of, really messed it up when I asked you to look at what I'm doing. I was brand new and I didn't know what I'm doing, but I'm still doing that business, and it's actually been really great for me. We've promoted twice in the business. It's giving LYNN the opportunity to quit her job. Again, I'm just picking on examples here about how you can fix a mistake. Is to be humble and say, look, it's my fault, I messed it up. So in this case, I'd say, hey, Gary, it's Dave here. I'm in a little bit of a hurry, but I saw your name and I had to give you a call because about a year ago, I have to apologize for not following up with you because, we were going to get together to talk about some business, and it was my fault that I didn't follow up and get together with you. This is why I'm giving you a call right now. So you can either go into a little bit more detail or you can go straight to the appointment setting there. But let's go into a little bit more detail for the sake of this call. I would say, we spoke a year ago and we didn't get to sing it, but it was about a business that LYNN and I were doing, which is going really well for us. Have you promoted since you spoke to him, or have you been senior back then as well?
Well, I was senior. We were seniors back then.
Okay. Well, you can say we're very, very close to our next promotion in the business, which we're really excited about. But it's also really helping us refill our retirement. And the reason why I want to, end this cycle of action or complete this cycle of action that we started a year ago is I want you to take a look at what we're doing for a couple of reasons. I'd really appreciate you knowing what we do. You're very, very well connected, and you may be able to help us with some connections or referrals. But secondly, as I said to you a year ago, I've watched you build your businesses, and I've got the ultimate respect for how you build a business. And I really actually could use a little bit of mentorship, not on an ongoing basis, but just an opportunity where you can look at what I'm doing and maybe give me some pointers as to how I can build this a little bit more quickly or a little bit more efficiently. So I don't know what you're doing on Friday, but there's a Starbucks around the corner, or there's the Mandalay Hotel where we can go and I can buy you a cup of coffee, have a look at what I'm doing. And I'd really appreciate your thoughts on what I'm doing. If that's a struggle, then let's get together at the weekend. Maybe if we can get together mid-morning on Saturday, again at the Mandalay, which I know is very close to where you live. So I'm really assuming he's getting together. I'm kind of kind of starting to talk about where we're going to meet.
It'll be a drive, yeah.
Right. So that's part of the intentionality, is me being so assumptive about where we're going to be meeting. It adds a little bit more power to the setting of the appointment. So that's how I would do that one. Does that make sense?
Sure does. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we're at 8:55 right now, and I don't want to stop people getting on the national call. Were there any questions you had? Let's not do any more invites tonight. We're going to do them on the accountability call, which we're going to do at 9 tomorrow night, correct?
Correct.
Were there any questions before we get onto the send people to the national call?
I'm good.
I'm excellent.
What about,
I'm ready to get started.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think all of these are going to be really good. So, and then we'll do some more invites tomorrow. Obviously, we've got 20 people we're going to be doing invites for, so we're going to have some pretty busy accountability calls, which is great. But again, if the averages are right, this means you're going to have at least 10 opportunities to show the plan. And guys, can you do me a favor? Could you keep score during the week?
Sure.
So, as the number of people we've seen, who we've actually had success and the opportunity to show the business to, so that I can keep my eye on the averages. Make sense?
Yes.
We will do that.
You guys are the best. Great. Guys, I've been looking forward to doing this for a very long time, because I know you guys have been on the Purge call every week, and I really appreciate that. So thank you for getting on the call tonight.
Thank you, Richard, for your time.
Thank you, PM.
Hey, PM. PM, for those of you who are listening in, when he says thank you, PM, he's talking thank you, Prime Minister, which is obviously our British leader. You have President here, we have Prime Minister in the UK. So, yes, well, thank you very much, chaps. I'm going to lead you guys to the national call. The number for the national call is 712-432-7570. Again, 712-432-7570. The PIN is 848-77#. Again, 848-77#. That call is run by our number one income earner, Mr. Brian McClure, a very good friend of mine, I'm happy to say, and a fantastic addition to what we're doing on this call. This one's very, very specific. That one is very much a little bit more of a general call, but again, a fantastic way of building, getting you ready for the week. For those of you who are playing along, hopefully you've got a couple of names. If you didn't see any invites that were relevant to your names that you wrote down, no problem. Listen into the accountability calls, which, again, they're going to be recorded and put onto the EC Riders Facebook page. That's EC, as in Executive Consultant Riders, RIDERS. It's a play on words from the 1969 movie Easy Rider. And listen in, and then we'll at the 20 invites that we're going to be doing with David and Lynn, there's going to be invites for you. And if you want to do more than 2, by all means do. But I want to keep it manageable. That's why I'm suggesting 2 names. And again, I'm going to be checking in. I'm going to be texting a few of you and checking in that you did this. And if you didn't, remember I told you at the beginning of the call, no one's too old for a smack bottom, and don't think I won't do it. All right. Well, who else finishes a call with a threat of a smack bottom? No one. That's what makes this call the best call in Ambit. Oh, dear. And, hey, Rebecca, thank you very much for sending me the picture of you and your daughter there. That's made my call. This is for those of you who are sending texts in. By all means, send a photograph in or whatever to let me know who you are and what you look like. I'd love to see you. But, Rebecca, thanks very much. And I think that's Raquel there with you. So thank you very much, chaps, for getting on the call. But anyway, for those of you who want to get on the national call, you have the number there. Thank you very, very much. Listen in for the accountability calls during the week. Senior consultants Dave and LYNN NUTT, thank you for being my guests tonight. Michelle, if you wouldn't mind unmuting the line so everybody can say good night to Dave and Lynn, I would appreciate it. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good luck with the net.
Good night, Team Jock in the building.
I know that voice.
Good night, Big William. Good night, Team Jock in the building.
Big William.
Thank you. Thank you, Gubs.
Good night. Good night, Clyde Drexler. Won't work in the building.
You guys are having huge fun, but that's the way you need to be. I love it. Thanks very much, guys. Have a super night.